Hi everyone, my name is Joshua and welcome to Northern Solar. In this video we're going to look back at the facts and figures for our solar production in March 2023 and continue to answer the question, are solar panels worth it? So without further ado, let's jump into the presentation. So for those of you that are new to the channel, this is our array here on the west facing part of our house. We have 10 panels there and 10 panels on the east facing on the back of the house. So that gives us 8 kilowatt of solar panels on the roof. We have a 6 kilowatt SolarEdge inverter and 13 kilowatt hours of Growatt battery storage. I do have a video going into more detail for our system. You can see it in the description and in the link on the screen now. So production in March was a bit of a mixed bag again, as expected. In these sort of spring months you get these really nice sunny days where you can see we had a highest day of 25.95 kilowatt hours generated there, and then on the bottom end 2.54 sorry there on the 9th of March. So a really big spread of really low days and really high days. So the average there during March of 14.05 kilowatt hours, and that's given us a total production of 435.46 kilowatt hours, which is a big step up, as you can see, from what we had in February in the last month's video. It's about 250. So yeah, another jump up there. Not quite as high as I might be expecting, but maybe last year in April we were higher than expected. So it's going to be a big jump again up if we're going to match up April's from last year. And as you can see now, I've got one whole year's worth of data from the system. You can see a nice sort of curve as you'd expect, with the summer months really outperforming by a long way the winter months. So just picking a typical day in March, I picked the 23rd of March. So now you can see we're starting to generate around 6 AM. Not very much sunshine in the morning, quite a cloudy morning, but then around lunchtime, sun came out and we were about 4.5 kilowatt there. And then coming down in the afternoon, a few sunny spells, but generating all the way through to about 6 PM now. Looking at our consumption pattern on that day, so you can see here the green block is the battery state of charge. So overnight the battery was still around 80%, and at this time of the year I've decided to set the battery to not charge anything from the grid as long as the battery is above 75. So if it's below 75 it'll top it up to 75%. And if it's above that it will just hold that charge during the night. This big block here is the car charging for a couple of hours to top up, about 7 kilowatt there, just in our off-peak window from 2:30 and then up until 6:30 the battery is not discharging during that time. And then as you can see in the morning, sun starts to come up after 6:30. We've got draw on the house. This is this consumption pattern from the house. This 2 blocks, this is a bit new for us. We've recently had a immersion tank put in, and this is the immersion heater clicking on after we've used it for the showers. We haven't got the timer sorted yet. We're waiting to get our My Energy Eddy installed, which will give us more control over that. But at the moment all the water is heated by the electric, so you can see 2 spikes here each time I've had a shower, and then sun comes up in the morning and the battery starts to recharge again after it was discharging there to reheat the water. And then in the daytime we've had quite a lot going on with a lot of renovation work, so we've had machinery and we've had some heaters on to dry plastering out and things like that. So you can see low level, sort of like 1.5 kilowatt heaters just on to help dry out the plaster. So yeah, then you can see lots of spike of production from the solar, which is the green, and then all of a sudden once the battery's full we're exporting out to the grid. So these are these blue spikes here. You see, you can actually see a bit of export here because when we're generating more than 3 kilowatts the battery can't charge any faster than that, so you're getting some export to the grid at this point while the battery's charging as well. But you can see here battery gets to 100% and then we see the export to the grid each time the solar spikes. A little minimal usage in the house at this point, and then again battery is still full, still exporting as the sun's coming down into the evening, and then we've got more usage in the house here. So the battery starts to drain as these consumption peaks come in. So that looks like hot water again, maybe potentially washing up. At the moment we're washing up in the bathroom. It's not ideal, but we're making it work while the work's going on in the kitchen. And then yeah, the battery's draining down overnight with the minimal draw there. So overall pretty typical day in March. Battery staying quite full. using it when we need to, solar recharging it, and still having plenty overnight. So all the financials and figures for March, you can see our solar production was 435, like I mentioned before. We exported 184 to the grid. Not the best battery management for myself, I think. Quite often I would have it charged too much, maybe 75% is too high. I think for April we'll definitely be dropping that down so that overnight it will not charge if it's 60, 50%, it seems to maybe alright. But you can see, yeah, taking those figures, we've consumed 251 from the solar. Our grid consumption was 519, and again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the vast majority of this grid consumption is charging the electric car, which I'll go into later. So you can see our off-peak grid consumption is 498 of that, and only 21 from the grid during peak hours. And 21 is actually a lot higher than normal. Usually we're in single digits here. This month it's been a bit hit and miss because, like I said, we've had a lot of work going on in the house and a lot of extra things on during the day. So on dull days, if you've got these heaters on to dry the plaster out, you've got workman's tools and stuff like that, the usage during the day just went up a little bit, but pretty minor change really. But yeah, again, vast majority is off-peak charging the battery and off-peak charging the car overnight. So total consumption in the house of 769.7 kilowatt hours for March. Going over to the financials, we had £14.67 standing charge for the month. Our cost for our grid usage was £46.07, which meant we had an electricity cost of £60.73. We made £7.54 from exporting 184 units, which gave us a net electricity cost of £53.19. So comparing to that, what we assume if we didn't have solar, same standing charge, our grid cost would have been £164.83, making a total of £179.50. So the difference between those two is our monthly savings. So monthly savings for March 2023 of £126.31. So this is a little breakdown of what we've done in terms of usage and consumption and export. We were able to consume 57.7% of what we generated and exported 42.3%. Not great, but we're still working on using more of it in the house. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using the My Energy Eddy to heat our hot water tank, so we think our exports will start coming down over the next few months. And then if you look at our usage pattern, we've got 32.61% of our entire usage is from solar, 64.71% from off-peak grid usage for charging the home battery and charging the car overnight, and then just 2.68% from the grid during peak hours. So overall pretty similar balance to February, with a few little discrepancies here and there with the variation that we've had with the work going on in the house. So this is getting very hard to read, these ones are getting smaller and smaller now, and getting a lot more months. I probably will start a new one now that this is a full 12 months. This year is March, I say a little note there to say we have building work going on, so those are the figures that we had. The car charging in total, the data from our PodPoint app gave us 433.2 units of car charging, so that's the Renault Zoe, which I'll go into later, and the Evoque hybrid, which takes charge for the hybrid battery as well from the PodPoint. So yeah, the Growatt in terms of battery storage charging was similar to February. 64.9 kilowatt hours went into the battery from the grid on off-peak charging in that time. So yeah, the overall total for the 12 months, I'm going to do another video about this, breaking down different times of the year and stuff, but we generated 5,963 kilowatt hours in total over the 12 months from our system. That's just shy of 6 megawatt hours. Was hoping to get over 6 megawatt hours for the 12 months, but pretty close. We exported more than half of that, but as you can see, in April last year we didn't have a battery, so we actually exported a huge amount of what we generated last April, and then we weren't really sort of optimized for using everything in the house, so we did export a lot through the summer. As you can see, back in the summer months we had a lot more exports. But yeah, overall the total consumption in the house was 5,164, including all the car charging. So if you look at how much we consumed completely in the house for electricity, we actually generated more than we consumed, which feels pretty good. And I know we have gas central heating, and up until recently we had gas cooking as well, and gas hot water, but to be a net exporter of electricity, it's pretty impressive, considering especially that we do use an electric car, and we've had electric cars since they started. We had the hybrid to start with, and then we just got in the last few months the Zoe as well. So I wonder how that will look over the next 12 months, whether or not we'll still be managing to be a net exporter of electricity from the property. Going through the financials again for the entire year, for the last 12 months, as we said here, monthly saving for March was £126.31, which means our overall savings for the first year were £1,497.38. My original prediction was to hope to save £1,500, so again, pretty close on the estimate there. Next thing we look at usually is payback. I've had to jig around the assumptions on this one quite a bit to try and figure out, are they really accurate to what we've been using and how it's been, how it's saved us money over the first year. But the assumptions that I've put in here give us a savings here, first year savings, are very similar to what we actually saved according to our bills. So what I've done now is extrapolated from there using these assumptions to say how much we'll save each year based on inflation and system degradation, things like that. And yeah, it's still coming out around 7 or 8 years payback. So the initial cost for the system was £15,215.50. And yeah, on the 8th year we should go past that in cumulative savings, so break even point around 8 years, and then total savings over a 25-year period, which obviously is very finger in the air sort of savings, but £93,882 over that time. So yeah, really good for us so far. Looking at the Renault Zoe, this is obviously not for everyone who's interested, but just a quick round on electric car usage. So this is 886 miles done in March at an average of 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, according to the data from the Zoe app. Our charging costs were £16.20 based on the 216 kilowatt hours that went into the Zoe. The rest of the pod point charging was for the hybrid Range Rover, so 7.5p per unit, which worked out at 1.8 pence per mile, which is still pretty staggering. I can't quite get my head around this over the last few months. It's so cheap to run the way we have it set up. So yeah, just assuming, I didn't do this last month, but someone mentioned in the comments that it would be good to see how much money you saved on petrol. And yeah, it's pretty staggering. Just 1 month, if you look at an average 40 mile per gallon petrol equivalent at £1.47 a litre, which is the current price for the last month, 886 miles would have cost us £148.02. So £131.82 saved on petrol in March, just from charging on the off-grid and driving a fully electric little car like this. I mean, yes, a second-hand Renault Zoe is more expensive than a second-hand small petrol car, but when you've got a setup like we have, it makes so much sense to have this type of car for the sort of miles that I do for work and for general sort of getting around. Yeah, so usually at the end of these videos I do a little plug to see if anyone is interested. If you are thinking of switching over to OCTOPUS to take advantage of their many options for smart tariffs, or just to go on a flat rate tariff for your electricity and gas, then please do consider using this link. You get a £50 credit on your bill when you join, and it gives a £50 credit to me as well. The link's in the description if you need it, and a massive thank you to those people that have already used that link. It makes such a difference to us to have that, because it's basically helping us pay our bills. It's fantastic, and all I can say is I don't work for Octopus, but I do recommend them. We've been a customer for a while now, and we've got really good customer service, and the access to their smart tariffs makes things like solar and battery and car charging so much more cost effective. So, welcome back to me on the screen here. Yeah, so quite a good month really. Not the best maybe in terms of generation, but when you can see the overall savings for the last 12 months at nearly £1,500, I think we can safely say that yes, solar panels are worth it. It does matter, it does obviously massively depend on your usage in the house and how you set them up with batteries. If you're using an electric car instead of a petrol car, there are huge benefits to be seen there, not just from the solar panels. The solar panels play a huge part in it, and for me, the sun's shining today. We're in April now, and today it's been fantastic. We're pretty much not using anything from the grid, even to charge the battery. Like this last couple of days, it's been so sunny that the battery is not having to charge from the grid, and we're only just really into spring properly. So it's really, really great to see that. So as ever, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please drop them into the comments below. I really do enjoy answering them, and I love the discussions we get to have there on various systems, how you're doing with your production, if you have your own solar, if you've got any questions about what to look for in a solar system, how I chose what I had, please do drop me a line. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.